one teambag. I'm Adam the Randomizer, and this is Chris Leroy. We're both coming to you live.
Go ahead.
What's up?
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. We're both coming to you live. So today we're going to be talking about the National. Chris and I were both there. It was a really good time. I know I enjoyed myself in spite of some technical difficulties that happened throughout the weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about the Nationals Topps packs, which, if you guys didn't know about it, were absolute bangers. And if we have time, we'll touch a little bit on the trade deadline today because a lot of prospects moved around. A lot of players got traded. So, Chris, what were your thoughts on the National?
Man, where do I begin? So I've been to lots of Nationals, and I got to tell you, I've never been to Atlantic City. So going into Atlantic City, all I kept hearing from people about what a trashy place it is and how terrible it is. And so I had these preconceived notions of it's just going to be a miserable place and I'm not going to enjoy it at all. But I got to tell you, man, and I am obviously in the extreme minority, dude, Atlantic City is one of the funnest fucking places I've ever been to in my life. It is. I loved it.
Really?
Compared to Chicago and Cleveland, bro, Atlantic City was so much fun. There's so much to do for a fat guy like me. The food options are just, bro, you just go on the boardwalk, you walk into a casino,
Yep.
There's 3 or 4 5-star fucking restaurants in one. You walk out on the boardwalk, you go down to another casino, there's 3 or 4 5-star restaurants in that one. There's just so much to do. I mean, How could you not like it? But the area was amazing. We stayed at the Claridge Hotel, which was attached to Bally's.
Mm-hmm.
And just by dumb luck, Bally's was within walking distance of the National, so that
it's a
worked
straight
out
shot, yeah. Because we parked when we got there the second day. We parked across in Caesars, which is right next to Bally's. So it's literally a straight shot down. You just have to walk right down. I think it's Arkansas Ave. It took you straight to the convention center, so make it nice and easy.
That was beautiful. Our the hotel. The one thing I will say, and we mentioned this last episode, but what I don't like about Atlantic City is the price of the hotels.
Yeah, they're expensive.
It's way expensive. So I think out the door it wound up costing me. We stayed 5 nights: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. So we stayed 5 nights. I think out the door it was almost $2,000 for the 5 nights. And now we stayed at the Claridge, which is like an older hotel. It's 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of history. You know, it's definitely not the Ocean or the Borgata, but it was awesome. I loved it. It was a great hotel. Dude, you can just walk downstairs, walk into Bally's. There's all kinds of shit to do.
Mm-hmm.
But so the area, I was expecting the worst, but that turned out to be one of the best parts about it.
Yeah.
The National itself, and somebody's got to say this, what they did was an absolute travesty. And we've talked a little bit about this, but it has to be said, and I guarantee nobody else is going to say it. For the people who didn't go, this is the way it worked. Now I have Verizon, okay? So it's not like I have fucking smart chat, like where I got to put on a prepaid credit card and fucking use my phone. I have a major carrier, Verizon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, I live in Ohio. My cell phone worked on the boardwalk, and it worked on the walk from the hotel to the convention center. When I was in the hotel, my phone didn't work, even if I tried to get on the Wi-Fi. My iPad did because I was able to do breaks, but my phone didn't work.
Yeah.
In the convention center, so literally as soon as you walk in, there's this huge overhang where the cars pull up and you can drop people off.
Yep.
As soon as you got under the overhang, nothing. You could not get any cell service, at least me personally, and it sounded like a lot of people. And it's a shame. The biggest reason for me is because I was just telling Adam a few minutes ago, 10 to 15 people, I had plans for months and months at a time to meet up at the National and have fun. I wanted to take live videos like I do every year, show the boost to the people that can't go. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I got into the National, I couldn't contact anybody. I couldn't get any Facebook messages. I couldn't get any text messages. I couldn't get any phone calls. So there were people trying to get a hold of me the whole time that I was there. I was trying to get a hold of them. You completely miss them. Yeah, right. We met in the parking lot walking up to the convention center.
For like 10 minutes in traffic. For like 10 minutes in traffic, I screamed at you to get your attention as you're walking down the street.
So we're like, awesome. I'll meet you inside, man. We'll hook up.
Couldn't do it. Yeah, couldn't. It was just
couldn't find anybody.
It was frustrating. I mean, like I had spotty service, so like there were certain parts where I could get internet, but in speaking to a lot of people that were there, that was their biggest complaint. I mean, as far as the setup went, the booths went, that was all cool. Like there was a lot of cool stuff that you could see. We're gonna get to the packs in a minute, but the tops packs were incredible, so that was a big positive. But it was very frustrating. It was frustrating for the vendors because if you wanted to try to sell something or try to buy something, you couldn't really look up comps. It was very frustrating for them. It was frustrating for people like you and I, just people there that were, either selling stuff or buying stuff, but same thing, you couldn't get on the internet. If you're trying to communicate with anybody, for me, it was like I had to go to certain spots to try to find internet. Now, I think it got a little better on Saturday, at least for me, because I went Friday, Saturday. Friday was a total shit show in terms of the internet. Saturday it got a little better, but it still wasn't good enough to communicate with everybody. And I think it was a combination of a couple things. One, the internet service was crappy, and two, I think a lot more people showed up than they were expecting. Now, granted, as organizers, you should know that based on the amount of ticket sales, how many people are going to show up, and then to adjust the broadband accordingly. But again, they didn't do it. Now, I saw an article earlier today, and I'm hoping some of the stuff gets addressed. But after next year, there's new management taking over, running, or there's a new events management company that's taking over the National. So hopefully those things will be cleaned up. If not next year, then the following year, when I believe it's in Cleveland. But it was very frustrating. But I think, like you said, I think the thing about Atlantic City is people around the casinos, it's a nice area. Around that shopping center, it's a nice area. It's if you venture too far off of that, like almost strip place, right? Like the strip mall area, like the outlets and the casinos and the kind of the boardwalk area where it can be a little sketchy. But there's plenty of things to do that are on the boardwalk. As far as food goes, like we had some. Normally, when my friends and I go, because one of my good friends, one of the guys that you met was one of my good friends who was driving. We used to get together and do our fantasy baseball draft, and we go to Atlantic City. So we used to go to Carmine's, which is in the Tropicana, which is amazing. Yeah, totally booked out. So I know we went on Friday, and I think one of the I suspect it was one of the vendors. They had like 150 person reservation, so we ended up going to Chicky and Pizza instead, which was good. And then we went to Ruth's Chris on Saturday, which was amazing. So plenty of good places to eat, plenty of things to do. I went to the casino and gamble a little bit, which wasn't bad either. Made a few bucks, at blackjack, which is an accomplishment. But overall, yeah, like I think aside from sort of those internet logistics issues, I think it was a good time. I think the other thing people I think were frustrated by was the parking situation. I heard some people got stuck. It took them about 2 hours to leave.
Oh hell
so
no.
So I'd say like in the future I'd recommend not parking at the convention center if you can avoid it. I think that's more so for like some of the vendors who have to get there early because I think they're going to get most of the parking spots. But if you park kind of like where we parked, which was at Caesar's garage, I think it cost $15 for the day. There's plenty of space there. It was like a three block walk to get to the casino. Sorry, to get to the convention center rather from the casino. So it wasn't too bad. I mean, it was like a 4 block walk. Like half a mile, maybe not even. You could do. I mean, it was miserably hot, but you could still do it and not feel like you were exhausted afterwards. That makes sense.
It wasn't bad. First off, what up, Boogs? Boogs is in here. We met at the Borgata. I met him years ago, but he didn't remember me. Boogs from formerly DC Sports, and now he runs his own group, Boogs Cars.
Nice.
But Tyson said, "Do you think they did that on purpose?"
No.
Well,
I don't think so.
I think so because I'm a fucking weirdo.
Well, yeah. You're a weirdo regardless of that aspect. But please provide more information as to why you did it on purpose.
It's awful. Now I cannot confirm this because I didn't see it, but the rumor going around was they had internet service. I'm sorry, I don't know why it keeps fucking doing this. They had internet. Yeah,
like a paid service.
Yeah. They had internet service, and supposedly the cost was $80 to use the fucking Wi-Fi.
Oh.
I wanted to take my phone. I was looking for the organizer at the National, and I wanted to smash my fucking phone in his face. Bro, they trap all those people in there, don't fucking have any internet service, and then you got the balls to offer Wi-Fi service and charge people $80 to use it. Now, I don't know if that's exactly how much it costs, but I know there was a paid service. But it makes sense.
I wasn't aware of that. That makes sense, though.
Bro, why would they have a service there ready to go that has to be paid for if they didn't do it on purpose? Now,
I don't know.
Now, miraculously, all the breakers and the Whatnot guys were going live with fucking zero problems.
True.
Right? They didn't have any broadband issues. Now my buddy gave me the Wi-Fi password for the breakers while I was there. It was Case Breaks was the password. But I tried every secured network. I don't know if you had to like type in the network because it was like a hidden one or something like that. But do I think they did it on purpose? Absolutely. Just for that reason. Now in Chicago, in Cleveland, now you got to remember when you have a billion fucking phones in one place, it's going to bog everything down. Because when I was there Sunday, the internet service wasn't as like I was actually able to get a little bit service inside the convention. And that was the first time that I was able to get service. The whole time that I was there was only on Sunday.
Gotcha.
But and the other shitty part about the National, and I want to call this out because nobody else will. Here's the other thing. If the new managers of the National, it has to be set in stone. It's a bad look for the National. And it's been like this every National I've been to. If you go on Sunday, a third of the vendors are gone. And then by noon, 1 o'clock, 60% of them are gone. They're already out of there. They're pulling out. Don't have the National for 5 fucking days if you don't plan on having the National for 5 days. Don't charge me full price for a ticket on Sunday when you know damn good and well that half of these fucking people ain't going to be here on Sunday.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair
You know
point. I
what
mean,
I'm
maybe make it, instead of like doing it, what is it, 9, it's open 10, was it 9 to 5 for the general public? Or sorry, 9 to 5 if you're setting up for an early pass, and 10 to 5 if you don't. I mean, I think at that point, just make it like 10 to 2 and then just charge half price for it, because you're right. I mean, I purposely didn't go on Sunday for that reason. I figured most people were going to bail out. And then of the people that were going to bail out, most of them were going to pack up and leave. I mean, you got people coming from, I spoke to people that, came from Minnesota and drove in. A guy came from Washington State. So I have no idea if he drove or he flew. I mean, I hope he flew. Oh, well, actually, I'm not sure because he had a ton of stuff with him. But, you're right. It's not fair to the consumer to charge full price for something when you're going to see a bunch of empty tables. And another thing, too, I think sometimes by the time you get to Sunday, there's deals to be made. I mean, I imagine on a Sunday. But, most people's inventory is probably pretty tapped out at that point. They're not going to miraculously manifest a bunch of new things unless they bought a bunch of stuff the day before. They sold a bunch of stuff they bought it that morning. So, Sunday's kind of a, there's deals to be made, but the inventory is not exactly going to be super large. And even by like Friday, Saturday, people were really kind of thin in some areas. Like I told people, I was personally, along with trying to sell some stuff, which thankfully I did. I was trying to get my hands on some of those Topps packs, the Silver National exclusive packs. But I was also looking for certain players like Marcelo Meyer, prospects basically in baseball. But there weren't really a ton of people selling them. A lot of people weren't really interested in even buying baseball. I think that's another thing that was interesting to me too, is that no one wanted to buy prospects, and no one really wanted to, or wasn't really selling a ton of prospects. And people were really focused on things like football and basketball, more so football than anything else. So that was a bit of a challenge too for me, I thought.
The other thing Stephen Downey asked a few minutes ago.
Yeah, sure.
What did he say? Chris, did I sell anything or did I only go there to buy? Well, we talked about this on Tuesday. My strategy every year for the National is the Rapper Redemption Packs, okay?
Yep.
And I would like to think after this last 5 or 6 days that you guys understand why that's always my strategy. Those packs, we'll get into that in a few minutes. But So that's always my strategy. Priority number 1 is to get my hands on as many Topps Rapper Redemption Packs. I run a break room now, so the last couple of years getting them was to run breaks. But before I had a break room, it was still to get as many as I can, open them up, flip them at the show or flip them after the show to help absorb some of my costs because it's expensive to go to the National. I mean, I dropped easily $5,000 just in expenses between hotel and driving there, and I had my kids with me and blow, hookers, the fucking ecstasy's crazy expensive there. The coffee enema was fucking like 10 times more than it is anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? It adds up quick. So
yeah, expenses add up.
Yeah, but I did bring a bunch of stuff to sell, and I want to talk about one other thing. So when I went to a couple dealers with what I had, now the stuff that I brought to them, I wasn't bringing them fucking 1987 Topps McGuire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I brought them, Otani short prints, slabbed Otani autos, fucking, prospect superfractor autos, and they threw that shit back at me faster than I handed it to them. They had zero interest whatsoever. It was such a different dynamic this year, and it was different on both ends, in my opinion, because as a consumer, if you were there to buy wax or buy even anything in general, it was definitely a buyer's market.
Definitely.
So you could go up to these people and beat the shit out of them, and you had a pretty good chance that they were going to take your offer as long as you were reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, if you were there trying to sell, they were going to beat you up because they know they can't flip it for the prices that they want to flip it at.
Right.
And they had a massive, massive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's two sides to this coin. I've heard people say it was refreshing that nobody had access to comps in the show.
Nope.
Because it was like the old days where it's just like, hey, you got that card for $100? I want it. $100 sounds good to me. Let's buy it. That's bullshit.
Yep.
That is completely bullshit.
Today's
world is, look, what is it worth? The last few look, we can argue about this all day. I know, guys, this starts a whole nother argument, but it's just the way things work. It's, what did the last few sell for? I don't care if you use eBay, 130, whatever you use.
Whatever it is.
What are the last few sold for? I'm going to offer you a percentage under that. And typically, that's the way this game works, okay?
Right.
So, as a consumer, if you're trying to buy something and these idiots that run these tables have fucking crazy prices on them and they know you can't check and don't tell me that these are all altruistic guys and
no, God, no. Don't ever make that mistake. These people
knew exactly what the situation was.
They knew what was up. They're there to make money. It's a business to them. They had to pay whatever they had to pay to get the booth and do all that other crap and to make money. So they weren't exactly going out of their way to buy. Depending on who you talk to, like, I definitely felt like people were trying to put the screws to me. And not only that, too, the thing that I found frustrating was they'd look at what you had. They say, well, what are you looking for? And I say, okay, this is what the most recent comps were. I'm asking for like 20% under, 10% under. They'd be like, okay, no thanks, give it back to me. It's like, so you weren't serious. You know, if you weren't serious about, I mean, like, unless I took a massive hit on it, which I think for some of the guys that I was showing them, it was, $1,000 under or like under whatever it was. The only guy that really did, the thing that really did annoy me was I did go to this one guy. The person I was dealing with was fine, but just he had his baseball guy with him. And the guy looks at I had the Baby Acuna orange that I wanted to sell. And he's like, well, what do you want for it? He's like, well, what do you think? He says to his friend. He was like, oh, that guy sucks. I go, I'm sorry, what? He's like, oh, Baby Acuna sucks. I'm like, do you know what his stats are? Have you been paying attention to what he's doing? No, you just don't like the fact that he's like, according to you, he's trading off his brother's name, which is what he admitted to. So therefore he thinks he sucks. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, so he says that to so he's this trusted, his buddy's trusted, or the dealer's trusted baseball guy, and he's shitting on my card. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do now? So now I'm going to get lowballed. So, and the frustrating thing too is there's another guy there. So like, oh, well, my buddy would try to buy it. I'm like, well, what can I do? Like, I got to wait for this guy to make up his mind about what he wants. Then I got to wait for, you to come back and find your friend who's going to make me an offer. So, just things like that. It was really annoying. Like, I would have much rather had the comps. And also too, the other thing is unless they were going to get in some cases an insane discount, they weren't going to buy. And I'm like, why would I do that? Like, why would why would I sell my card, which I know what it's selling for on eBay, and I'm already giving you a deal on it, so you can turn around and flip it. People usually, I think back in the day, people would say 80% of comps. Yeah. If I'm coming in under that, why would I, why should I bend even? Why should I, give you more? I didn't have to sell things. I wasn't desperate to sell things. I just wanted to sell a few things, and I did, and I made some money, which I was happy about. So thankfully, like, my trip was a net positive in terms of, the money I walked out with. But at the same time, I just found that to be a bit frustrating. Would you want a chocolate caramel cookie? Who's offering chocolate caramel cookies?
Oh, that's my daughter. She's making cookies.
Yeah, save me one too.
The other thing I noticed is, and I think it's pretty safe to say, Whatnot is dead. It's done. Did you see what Whatnot was doing at the show?
I didn't even bother. To tell you the truth, I didn't even go anywhere near them.
All right, this is what Whatnot. Now, Whatnot had a huge presence this year. They had 4 or 5 booths. They were giving shit away. I mean, just huge presence. But what they were also doing, which is fucking crazy to me, is I watched a half a dozen people in succession walk up there, and there was a big sign saying, "We're creating, come live on Whatnot today, sign up here." There was a guy, there were two guys with computers. If you went up to them and said, "Hey, I want to go live on Whatnot," they immediately gave you live access on the spot. Everybody who went up to the desk got live access right there on the spot.
To sell stuff, or just for shits and giggles?
Right. So Whatnot, if you download the app, you can only use the app as a buyer.
That's what I thought. Like, you have to be like registered to sell. That's what I thought.
Well, not only the greatest thing about Whatnot in the beginning, and I was one of the early sellers on Whatnot. So
which is still a shock to everybody who knows you. But go on.
Very true. I'm very untrustworthy.
Absolutely.
But
go on.
The process, which I thought was great. I mean, they vetted the shit out of you. So you had to fill out an application. You had to link social media accounts, proving that you had a track record in the industry as selling and blah, 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 blah. You had to fill out a fucking resume, send it to them. They reviewed it. And then they either, approved you or denied you. If you got denied, you could appeal it and tell them why and blah, 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 blah. So I know a lot of people who applied and got turned down, and they didn't get live access to be able to sell on Whatnot. So as the app started to grow, when I first got on it, I mean, there was a bunch of sellers when I got on there, but nothing like it is today. So a guy like me could jump on and sell $500-$600 worth of shit with almost no followers, because there's a finite amount of sellers, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So as the months started to go by, it's like, oh my God, everybody I know has a Whatnot now. It's like, well, okay, well, I guess if you're in the game and you're buying and selling on Facebook, they probably see that, and they're being a little bit more lenient with their credentials as far as what or prerequisites, what they want to give you access. But they just said, fuck it. If you are breathing and you have a Whatnot account, you can be a seller on Whatnot. So it just destroyed the credibility of the app, in my opinion.
Right.
I mean, it's just like one of the greatest things about Whatnot was you knew, even if you didn't like the guys from Backyard Breaks, or even if you didn't like fucking Joe Schmo Breaks on Whatnot, he was vetted, right? He went through a legit vetting process, and you had, you had a big ass app like Whatnot behind it to protect you as a buyer.
Right.
Now it's like, bro, they just gave live access to everybody. I don't know if it was just that one day, but I'm just like, I'm done. That's it. I'm done with Whatnot. I'm not doing it.
I think one of the things that's kind of keeping them afloat is a partnership with various celebrities, for lack of a better term, or for various sellers or whatever, people that have large social, they're quasi influencers. Because I've seen a few people, even people that aren't necessarily like breakers, that sell shit on Whatnot. So I think that's kind of helping them a bit. But I think seems like that's what they're catering to now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you're one of the early adopters of Whatnot, like even earlier than me, right?
Yeah.
So I think I got on Whatnot when it was probably, I don't know, 6-7 months old, something like that.
You got in pretty early.
I was pretty early.
It was. I thought it was before that, because when I first heard about it, I feel like not too long after I signed up for a Whatnot account, it seems like you were chosen as a seller. So it was pretty early in the game, I'd say. You're one of the first people I knew, like one of the first 2 or 3 people I knew that had a
Andrew Dice Breaker on Whatnot, by the way.
Yeah.
But imagine if you're one of these guys. That's like me running a Facebook group, and I run this business on Facebook, and I do breaks, and Facebook just decides they're gonna create 700 other admins on my page and allow them to break on my page too.
Right. Yeah, it was very random.
It's like, imagine if you're a guy that has a couple $1 million of inventory, and all you do is go live on Whatnot and either rip or sell breaks on Whatnot, and all of a sudden, because of the national, there's now 30,000 more sellers on Whatnot. It's so bad, man. It's such a bad look.
And as someone had said too, like there needs to be protection for the buyers as well. I mean, the videos disappear. It's not like it's tracked live. At least that's my understanding. Like, again, I have not been on the app in a very, very long time, so I don't feel like I don't feel like I can speak from experience or recent experience. But if you're not, in general, if you're not protecting the sellers in some way, or the buyers in some way, I should say,
Ryan,
if you're not able to keep track of the breaks in some way or go back and look, like as the person said, you could swap cards pretty easily.
Well, here's the thing. That's what you think, and that's what I thought too. Until somebody tried to scam me,
Mm-hmm.
and let me tell you something. Whatnot, they don't tell you this up front, but they do catalog every video and it's saved. So
That's
I'll
good.
give
I
you
didn't
I'll
know
give you
that.
an
That's good to
example
know.
of what happened to me.
Sure.
I was selling a card that was a PSA 9, and I clearly stated it was a PSA 9.
Correct.
Somebody bought it, they got it in the mail, and then they went to they didn't even contact me, and I always put my card in the box saying if you have any problems, here's my now there's direct messaging on whatnot. Before I would say if you have any problems, reach out on Instagram and I'll make it right. So
Correct,
he didn't even reach out to me. He went to whatnot and said, I bought this card. He said it was a PSA 10 and he sent me a PSA 9. And I'm like, fuck. I'm fucked. They're going to side with him and I'm going to get stuck holding the bag here. Well, lo and behold, whatnot comes back and says, no, we watched the video and he clearly stated it was a PSA 9. So sorry.
Good.
And I was
That's
like,
good.
Word. I'm like, I can't
I'm
believe
glad
they can do
document that. That's good they can document it, though.
Yeah, it was huge, man.
All right. Well, let's dive into the Topps
packs?
Nationals packs. Yeah. So I think one of our big concerns that you had and that I had too, especially having gone back to my first National in like 4 or 5 years, was what would the Topps packs be? Last year they were paper. People were not happy. They looked very likewise because that's something that until one of my bigger I won't call this a regret, but one thing I didn't realize back the first time I went was that Topps did these exclusive packs and that people would sell them too once they got their hands on them. Mm-hmm. So I was a little bit worried. I mean, there's no I think I saw you posted the checklist at some point, but we really hadn't gotten any word one way or the other, or no one seemed to know one way or the other if they would be chrome or if they would be paper. And thankfully this year they were chrome, and they were also very, very loaded. They were absolutely loaded. I have to tell you that I know you said you got something like over 90 packs or something. Was that what it was? 90?
No, we broke over 300.
Oh, 300. I'm sorry. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
way on that. I mean, I had 20. I think I got my hands on 23, 24. I went back. I bought them from the same guy 2 separate days, and went back and cleaned them out twice. And in the 23, I probably had every other pack had a hit, and I pulled a red auto. So, those were loaded. I didn't have the success that you had, but still, you can't complain. Not only that, too, we're talking about some low-number color cards, too. I mean, there was gold, orange. I probably pulled, like I said, the one red auto. Then there was probably 3 or 4 golds, 3 or 4 oranges, 3 reds, including the auto, I want to say. So 2 reds, a bunch of the base chrome cards, too. I mean, these were probably the best, I think. And this is because, obviously while I wasn't able to get the packs in past years, I definitely got into breaks or I bought them for people or whatever. I think these are the best ones they've ever done. And I wonder if it was, and I wonder if part of that was because they're making up for last year, or I don't know. But, I mean, you had autos from Trout, Ohtani. It wasn't just the prospects. You had Trout, Ohtani, Jeter, God, who else? I think J-Dom had autos too. Dominguez, J-Rod had autos. Yeah, Julio Rodriguez had autos. You pulled a Julio auto too. Khalil Watson, Bobby Witt. Did Marcelo Torkelson? Yep. Did Marcelo Meyer have an auto too? I believe so. Okay, so Meyer had an auto. I'm trying to think of who else.
Ellie De La Cruz.
Ellie De La Cruz. I pulled a gold of his.
Bryson Stott.
Yep. Stott was another one. Yep.
Crazy.
It was nuts. It's I wish I could have gone back and bought more, to tell you the truth. But I think you and Maddie did a pretty good job of cleaning them out. I'd say cleaning people out. But then I heard it was interesting. Just one side thing before I'll let you take over in a second. But I even spoke to a guy I ran into him at the casino. He was like, "Oh yeah, I bought a whole case of what did you get? Signature Series retired or whatever." He's like, "Yeah," and I turned them all in. And I got 60 packs. He's like, "I got 3 autos. I got 6 gold. Blah 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 blah." He did really well with those too, so they were a lot of fun. And I think you also pulled a bunch of supers. You pulled the Khalil super too, which we can talk about in a minute. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll give you. So here's the difference.
Yep.
In previous years, the rapper, and they were amazing before.
Oh, absolutely. I love
the rapper redemption packs were Prism. So if you think of Topps Chrome, the base Prism parallel, okay, or like the Hyper. Here, let me show you.
Yeah, because the Prism parallels look confusing to me, and I think maybe the audience. I always just treat them like they were. Oh, you can't hear me. So So to me, I treated them like they were Chrome cards. But go on, show us the difference. Educate us.
So here's from 2019.
Wrong, other camera. There you go. Yep, other camera. Yep.
So I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
It's the prism finish.
Yes.
Right. It's the prism parallel. So,
right. Okay. I know what you're talking about. Go ahead. Yep. Okay.
So every card, every base card was a prism parallel. Okay. What Topps calls a prism, what Panini calls, I guess, like a hyper.
Right.
Okay. So even the base cards were like this. They're a prism. So the colored cards in previous years, same checklist: gold, orange, red, and the 101s in previous years were black prism 101s.
Right.
Okay, they didn't have superfractors.
Right.
So when I was doing all these breaks, I kept hearing people say, "Oh, these things don't hold value. Oh, they don't hold value like regular cards." Well, one of the reasons why they didn't hold value like regular cards, in my opinion, is because they were prism parallels.
Right.
Okay. This is not a very sought after parallel, especially by the Bowman purists. You can't find a prism parallel in any Bowman product, so I'm assuming that's why the Topps does it at the National, because that's the only place you can find a prism Bowman is at the National. So this year we were hoping that they were going to be chrome again, even chrome prisms, right? Turns out that they were chrome, but they were not prisms, so they were base refractors.
Correct.
And not only base refractors, but the national portion of the card, you could barely see it.
It was very,
it kind of
the
blends
logo was
into
very
the
light.
background.
The logo was very light. Yep.
It's not as standoutish as this one is on this card.
Agreed, yeah.
And so when you pull a gold, you're pulling a true gold.
Correct.
When you pull an orange, you're pulling a true orange. When you pull a red, you're pulling a true red. And oh, by the way, there's fucking superfractors in these packs.
Yep.
And oh, by the way, there's superfractor autos in these packs. Now, it's sticker auto. A lot of guys,
they're going to bitch about that. That's the frustrating thing. That's the frustrating thing for me is I feel like people are always going to find a reason to bitch about them because they are sticker autos. I think they look cool. They don't look much different to me. I mean, I don't know how they would go about trying to pull off getting on-card autos for the Nationals packs. I mean, the logistics of that would be a nightmare. So the trade-off would be, okay, either you're going to have half as many guys signing the autos or they're going to be stickers. And frankly, I'd rather have the stickers. But part of me just wants to part of me just not at all. Part of me just wants to tell them to get the fuck over it because it doesn't really make that. It really doesn't make that big of a difference. And honestly, for the most part, from all the autos I saw, no one went off the sticker. They all centered them nicely.
Yeah,
they probably would have all gotten 10s if you want to go, or PSA DNA 10s or BGS 10s. They weren't really all that streaky. They look good to me. So honestly, that is a minor thing, very, very minor.
Here was the fun part. So when the checklist dropped, I put it straight out on the page, I knew that my strategy was going to be buy a bunch of packs. So, and I'll just give you an example. I brought $6,000 in cash with me, and as soon as I seen the first card pop up on eBay, and the first card I seen pop up on eBay was a Julio Rodriguez base refractor. And I go, oh my God, they're not only are they chrome this year, but they're base refractors, and you could barely see the national portion. And oh, by the way, Julio Rodriguez has rookies. Fucking Witt has rookies. Torque has rookies. CJ Abrams has rookies. Stott has rookies. Hunter Green has rookies.
And there's a ton of prospects in there too. Colson Montgomery, Benny Montgomery, Marcelo Meyer, Jordan Lawler, Ellie. If there is a big name, and this was the funny thing was the night that Friday when I bought those packs, I hit an Ellie Gold in my last pack. Ellie just a regular gold refractor, and he hit like a 512-foot home run that night too. That dude is hot right now. But yeah, absolutely. They were stacked with not just good current players, professional players, but their prospects they put in there were really good too.
But the funny thing was the first guy that I bought my bunch of packs off of, he actually hit the Julio base super and a red.
Oh, jeez.
So he told me, and when he said super, I just thought he meant he hit the black 101.
Right, yeah.
So when we did our first break the first night, I seen the super and I go, oh my God, there's fucking superfractors in here this year. Holy shit. So just to give everybody an idea of a rundown of what we hit, and this is just a quick rundown. This doesn't sum up everything.
Hashtag humble brag.
Yeah. Just to give you an idea of what's in these packs and how loaded they are. Now, granted, I did anywhere from 8 packs per break to 10 packs per break, 15. I think the most we did was 20 because they're expensive.
The last one I did was 20.
Break.
Yeah, it was about $100 to do the 10.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, they were, go ahead, sorry.
No, so I had a couple breaks where out of 10 packs, we had 1 hit, I think, in one of them. There was a couple where we had 10 packs and I think had 2 hits, but we didn't skunk on one break. Every break had at least a hit, if not multiple. So here's a quick rundown of what we hit. Khalil Watson, Superfractor Auto. Right?
Hold on. Yeah, one more thing about that. Don't forget to tell them how you snuck into your daughter's DMs.
Who? Oh, yeah.
Khalil Watson.
We hit the Khalil Watson Superfractor Auto, and then my daughter posted on Instagram and tagged him. So he hit my daughter back, and, they had a little exchange. It was cool. We hit Christian Hernandez, base super. We hit Shohei Ohtani, base super. We hit Bryson Stott, base super rookie, and a Bryson Stott red in the same break. As far as the reds go, we hit a red Josh Lowe, or no, what's his name? Is that it?
Yep.
For the Rays?
Josh Lowe. You hit the auto. Did you hit the red auto?
Yeah, red auto.
Yeah, that was
Josh Lowe.
Josh Lowe, yeah.
We hit a Harper red. I think we hit another red. Yeah. We hit a Julio Rodriguez, 2 Julio Rodriguez oranges, 2 golds. We hit a Bobby Witt auto. We hit a Mike Trout auto. We hit
you hit a J-Rod auto too, right?
2 J-Rod autos.
Okay.
Right? 2 J-Rod auto.
That's insane.
It was I mean, when I say fucking mine, there is literally nothing you could spend your money on that would give you this kind of odds to hit something. And here's the thing. When you open a pack and you stack them together and you'll see the hits are a thicker card, so you can say, oh, cool, I got 4 hits in this stack.
Yep.
If you see a hit, it's at least a gold.
Yep.
At least.
Yep.
Right?
Not purple, not anything. It's gold or higher. Or lower, I should say.
Gold, orange, red, or super. So if you get a hit, it's going to be one of those 4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we hit 4 Superfractors, 1 Superfractor auto, multiple reds, too many oranges to count. I mean, literally probably 50 or 60 golds. It was, and again, we broke over 300 packs.
Yeah.
From the first day when we did the first break, my mind, I was like, oh my God, I have to buy every pack that Topps made.
So you were the reason, you were the reason why I couldn't find any more after the second.
Exactly right. So our strategy, what we did was my daughter, who's 18 years old, very, very beautiful young lady, we posted up in the Topps booth, and she would watch people go up to the Topps booth, hand their boxes over, they'd cut the plastic off, they'd hand them the packs, they'd turn around, my daughter would be right there, tap them on the shoulder, hey, do you want to sell your packs? Most of the people didn't want to sell them. They wanted to rip them. But we ran into a guy, luckily, who opened a lot of wax. And I probably bought at least 100 packs off this one guy. And so, again, we bought we were there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I got my hands on at least 50 to 60 packs every single day that I was there.
So was that Madison who you used?
Yeah, Madison got them all.
So again, just to clarify and repeat this. You used your 18-year-old daughter, by the way.
I'm not ashamed. Not even
as
a little
bait
bit.
to go.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, I can tell. There's no shame. You got no shame in the game. But just to clarify that,
if it wasn't for my beautiful daughter, Chris Sharp wouldn't have a Khalil Watson Superfractor auto headed to him right now.
Yeah, that's right. So Chris Sharp,
Joey Saldana wouldn't have a fucking J-Rod auto headed to him.
Give him a big thank you give Madison a big thank you for that.
And by the way, we kept hearing, oh, that's cool. We hit the Shohei Ohtani Superfractor. Oh, that's cool, but it's a national card. Yeah. By the way, they threw that thing up on eBay. It's at almost $1,600, and there's 4 days left. So anybody who tells you that, fuck off. I'm sorry, they can fuck right off, in my opinion. Yeah, it's called being a parent, but it's a kid if not free labor. Well, I mean, as long as it, these are the shortest printed cards. And oh, by the way,
yep,
this is the first Chrome rookie no matter how you slice it, whether you like national cards or not, I don't care if you like them or not. You cannot deny in 5 years from now when people are going crazy trying to find super rare Julio Rodriguez rookie cards.
This is going to be one of them.
First chrome rookie card of Julio Rodriguez came from the National.
So
period.
I could throw this
super
out there
low
too.
pop.
And it's still just to throw this out there, unless it's one of those gigantic names like you said, Ohtani, I feel like you can still find these singles at a fairly reasonable price right now. But in 3 to 5 years, people are going to go back and say, "Wow, what looks like a base refractor rookie, which is actually a national, which is super short printed, is going for big bucks because it will be considered his first rookie card." And like you said, it's not like you have to sit there and have like a giant national logo. Like we should show. I'll next week if I remember, I'll try to find some of the national cards I had from last year that you actually.
I have some right here. Let me show you.
Yeah. Bring them out, and I'll do the talking for a minute. And you can see that the national logo, also because it's on paper, is so obvious. It's so big and right in the front. And it's oh boy, there it goes. Yeah, we saw that. It really does not look good. It's not a very good looking card. But this year they really did a tremendous job with them. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Here's the difference.
Yeah.
Oh, O'Neal Cruz too, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I forgot. I forgot about him as well. But yeah, show them from this year, and then show one from last year if you have it. That's 2019. Do you have one from 2020?
Oh, I don't have the paper one. The paper.
I've got one somewhere. If I have time, I didn't even think of it. But I'll remember to show people next time. But it's day and night. I mean, it's absolute day and night.
That looks like a regular Bowman card. I mean, the national is barely noticeable.
Yeah.
It looks like a regular Bowman Chrome card.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've sold a bunch so far. My plan is once I sell the ones I have, I'm going to go back and get the players that I want. I did sell my J-Rod, but my plan is to try to go back and get another J-Rod if I can. A J-Rod auto would be phenomenal.
That's what I got left from 2019.
Yeah. I actually sold a decent amount of mine too. And like you said, in those breaks you did, like I ripped 23 packs, and I felt like every other pack had something in it.
Why don't you tell them? Didn't you sell your LE Gold?
I did, yeah.
How much you get for that? Tell people.
So I sold it with a bunch of others, so I got around $300 for it. But I will say this because I sold it the next
non-first Bowman.
Non-first Bowman. I'll say this: one just sold on eBay for about $110, $120. So just to set expectations, I just think I got lucky because I had a bunch of them. I sold a bunch in a lot, and he was part of it. But I specifically said I need at least $300 for this one. I'll sell the rest too as well too. And the guy said okay. So I probably got a little bit of it. I probably gave him a little bit of a break on some of the other ones. Like I gave him a break on, like I had a Harper orange that I knew wasn't going to sell for very well. And excuse me, sorry, had a Harper orange, that I knew wasn't going to sell for very well. But that was the big draw from us. We wanted that Elliott. And I wanted to make sure I got at least $300 for it. And what I based that off of, because at the time there was nothing on eBay, there was no comps, was just what his golds, his gold first was selling for, and more importantly, the gold shimmer. I tried to sort of split the difference, coming a little bit under those two, and that's what I got. So, I mean,
we
in that
hit
case,
like 4 oranges.
Oranges. And I'm sure you could easily ask for like over $300 for those oranges. And you know what? In a couple of years, it might be the same thing with J-Rod. One thing about Cincinnati, and I don't know, I might have been talking to you about this. I don't remember if it was you or somebody else, but Cincinnati stuff always sells really, really, really well.
Strong fan base here, man.
Really very strong fan base. Really, really strong. So, I have never had an issue. Even like, think of your most shitbox of shitbox rookies. I remember I sold like an Adam Duvall card that I had no business on. I should have had it on eBay for like a month just to even get a $1 bid on it, but it sold for like $10. It was definitely not. I mean, it might be a book for more, but I was expecting to get more than that. So, anytime you can get a really good Reds player, you'll make something off of it. So hopefully, Aquino, that's another one who blew up and people made good money off of.
Yeah.
So in the case of Elliott, like he's someone who is going to, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he'll hold his value, but there'll probably always be a market for him, at least for the next couple of years. I sold the other one too, which I thought was a pretty good deal that I made was Francisco Alvarez, or what's the catcher from the Mets name? Alvarez.
Yeah, Francisco Alvarez.
Francisco Alvarez.
He just got traded too, didn't he?
No, I don't think so. Did he? I don't think so.
Didn't he get traded?
To who?
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't think so because the Mets.
He's close to being called up, right?
Probably, yeah. Because I've seen some places ranking him like number 1 or number 2.
I'll talk about that, Garano. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, sorry. but I sold that one for I think I had a gold. I sold that for $75, and I think that's that was a really good deal for me. And that's not even like an Ellie type. I mean, he's a high ranked prospect. That's not one of his first Bowman cards. He's probably has a bunch of them already, but that one sold.
He's that's two years removed from his first Bowman. You got
Correct.
that much for that card.
75 for it. Yeah. So I was happy about that. Yeah.
And again, this is the point. The point I'm trying to make here is now the first national I went to and bought these packs, and I just kind of ran across this on dumb luck. I bought these packs. I started opening them. I started getting all these hits, and I just started selling them around the show. And I'm like, damn, all I got to do is sell a couple more packs, and this trip is free. I'm like, this trip was free. So I was like, shit, I went and bought a couple more hobby boxes, got the packs. I wasn't buying packs off people. I was just buying because this was, I forget what year it was, 17, I think.
Yeah, when you could have bought like a box, like 10 boxes of Series 2 for like $100.
Right, and you had some good rookies to judges.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So I'm like, holy shit! I'm just gonna go buy a couple more hobby boxes. I get them for free. I'm gonna open it up. Whatever I get, I'm just gonna sell and be even. So I ended up making money. 2018, I do this. It's Ohtani, Acuna had a rookie card in there. It was crazy. I fucking ripped a bunch of packs, and I walked away. Not only was my trip paid for, but I had an extra 1,000 or 2 by the time I was setting. I'm like, why doesn't everybody do this? It's great. Like, this is a legit strategy. If you want to go to the national and you don't have the funds to do it, you could either, and this is what most people were doing. And there's a product like this every year. I promise you. If you do your research, you will find these deals. The tops ran out on Friday. Every national I've ever been to, on Sunday, they were giving double packs out to kids because they had a bunch left over, and they didn't give them away enough, They ran out on Friday. So what they did was they took a little bit, they put them to the side, so they had a little bit on Saturday, and they had a very little bit on Sunday. So they stretched it out. They ran out at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There was a big sign up, out of Rapper Redemption packs for the day, check back tomorrow. And I'm just like, what the fuck, right? So the what people were doing, and the reason why they ran out was, I'm gonna butcher this. What is it? Bundesliga soccer? Is that what?
Yeah, Bundesliga. Yeah.
Bundesliga soccer hobbies at Blowout or Steel City in the first couple days were like $50 a hobby box, and that got you one pack. Okay. And there's 12 hobby boxes in a case. So, I don't have my abacus in front of me, but that's under $5,000 right, per case. Yeah. So, for a very small amount of money, you can go get 12 packs, a lot cheaper than or maybe a little cheaper than you could buy them outright. But then you have 12 hobby boxes that you basically got for free. Yeah. So I seen people walking up with armfuls of cases of Bundesliga soccer and Archive Signature Retired Series.
Archive Signature, that was the other big one,
to get the pack. So the guy I was messing with and I bought all the packs off of, he was bringing up Bundesliga and Archive Signature and just getting rows of packs every time he went up and just turning around and selling them to me. Yeah. But on the contrast, Panini has the same style. They have VIP packs that you get at the party. Then they have the Rapper Redemption packs, which is only 2 cards. Now, you can hit some crazy shit out of there. There's no doubt about it. You can hit fucking logo mans out of these things. It's crazy.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, you can hit crazy card, just like Tops. You can hit, but it's not as loaded. So there's 2 cards in the silver Panini packs. They were doing about $30 a piece at the show. Now they're up to like 50, somewhere around there. There's only 2 cards. Now, I ripped about 50 of those. We hit a 101 Shield Kirk Cousins patch.
Wow. It's Kirk Cousins, so yeah.
We hit, I think, 3 autos out of it. Wasn't nearly, but it's only 2 cards. The gold packs, I didn't rip any. They were too expensive. They were like $90 right off the rip. I think they're even more now. The Tops Rapper Redemption packs, I think on the first day, if you were lucky, you could get them for around 55, somewhere in that range. On Sunday, I couldn't find them for under 70, 75.
So the first day I bought them, because I bought whatever the guy had in bulk. I think ultimately I paid like around $46 per pack.
That's great. That's a great
Yeah, which
price.
was great. Well, there was one guy selling them for 65, and my friend and I decided to look around a little bit more. And I don't think he was going to come down to below 50. I think my friend was like, well, let's try to get him for between 40 and 50. So at the end of the day, we bought them all off him. I think it was like 16 or so, or 45. And the next day we bought whatever he had left, which was I think it was another like 5 or 6 at 50 a pack, which I thought was a great deal looking back at it. The one thing I was kind of bummed out about was I tried to go back and find that other guy that we spoke to on the first day. I should have taken his card or something, because I didn't realize how well. Number one, I think after I had watched the breaks you did, and I realized what you could get out of these, and saw you pull the Khalil Watson and everything, I was like, wow, these are really cool. But I think I underestimated how aggressive people would be in getting them, or at least underestimating how many vendors would have them available, because of all the vendors, there was just those 2 guys that happened to have them. And he did say like, oh, I'll go back. I'm going to have some more later, but this was like late Saturday or something. And he's like, no, they're all gone. So we couldn't get any more. So because we went back and checked right before he left, he said, no, they're totally gone.
I think we ended up on Sunday with 90 packs from my guy. Yeah. And I so every pack that I bought, I watched come out of the Topps sleeves and into the thing. So Topps was out. My guy who was getting them from Topps couldn't get any more. Yep. So I'm like, let's go look around at some dealers and see if we can find some. I didn't want to do it that way because these packs only have 4 cards in them, and the hits are much thicker than the other cards. Yeah. So I'm assuming you could weigh these packs, okay?
Yeah,
so
that's a possibility.
I would strongly recommend that you don't buy them off of eBay, because I guarantee you're going to get 4 base cards, because I guarantee you people are weighing these fucking packs, selling the ones that don't have the hits. It's just people are shitty like that, and they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So I would, if you're going to spend the money, it's definitely worth. Look, even at $100 a pack, it's worth it. If you're buying it off somebody who's trusted, it's worth it at $100 a pack. There's just nothing that you're going to even come close to opening where you have this type of potential. Now, I know for a fact the Jeter Super Auto was pulled. The Trout Super Auto was pulled. As far as I know, the Julio Rodriguez Super Auto is still out there.
The Ohtani Super has been pulled.
The base. I don't know about the auto.
No, I'm pretty sure the Super Auto has been pulled. I saw that one.
So what I haven't seen is the Torque J-Rod Super Auto, Torque Super or Super Auto, and I haven't seen the Bobby Witt Super Super Auto.
Yeah.
So I would venture to say one of those 3, if not all 3 of them, are probably still in these packs.
Potentially.
So, yeah, if you could find these packs even at $100 a piece, if you trust the person, buy them. It's worth it. You could fucking legit hit Witt, Torque, O'Neal Cruz. I don't think his Super's been pulled. I pulled the Stott Super, but not so the Super Auto is still out there. Yeah. It's just, I cannot stress what a fucking amazing product this is.
Oh yeah. And just kind of just to come full circle, like I made so I still have a few more of them trying to sell, but there is an outside chance like it could be close to doubling what I spent on them in terms of what my take is.
Exactly right.
People are starting to get a little bit more, I don't know what the word it uses, but it's like that after a new product comes out, there's that giant rush to get it, and it's always expensive. It's starting to come down a little bit, a little bit, but not a ton. But I'm hoping, like, there's another card show that's coming up on Sunday near me, and I'm gonna probably, whatever I don't sell on through Facebook, which I sold a bunch. I mean, in fairness, I think I've sold like X amount of dollars on Facebook. It's been pretty good to me. Jeremiah's about to get a Jordan Walker gold that I sold to him. That's coming to us. A Jordan Walker golden base.
Oh, we hit the Jordan Walker red auto.
Yeah, that was sick.
That too.
That was
sick. It's fucking crazy.
So like there's money to be made, and I think my plan was to go back then and try to find just the 1 or 2 players that I really want out of the set, just so I can have them, because there's a lot of, the nice thing about it is there's something for everybody, if that makes sense. You're going to get a Yankees player, you get some Red Sox players, like also Blaze Jordan. That's another guy. Yeah, who's in it too for the Red Sox. You got Blaze Jordan, you got Marcelo.
As far as breaks go, I think there was only 5 teams that weren't represented in the product.
Right. I think
So
the Dodgers, the Astros,
Brewers.
I want to
Twins.
say Twins and Guardians, I think, and the Cleveland.
Valera had cards in
Oh,
there.
we did?
Sorry.
Okay, I didn't see Valera. Okay, that's one that I didn't pull.
Athletics didn't have anything.
Right. Okay, so that, yeah. So overall, like, there's 25
there's
spots.
Right.
Yeah, there's yeah. So that brings us to one question before we kind of move on a little bit. But are you planning on getting any more Nationals packs?
Again, now there's one guy that I trust that is supposed to be getting some more. Okay. So if he personally gets them, I will buy them off of him.
Okay.
I just don't feel comfortable spending that kind of money and then expecting the guys in my room to spend that kind of money and not and just have that chance of it. I buy a bunch of fucking packs that are searched.
Right.
I don't want my guys to get crushed.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
If my one guy has them, I will buy them off of him because I know he doesn't do shit like that.
Yep.
But unfortunately, if he doesn't, then it's on to the next year.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing fucking 50,000 in cash with me, and my goal is to buy every national pack next year. So be ready.
Save some for people like me.
Exactly.
You're a greedy bastard.
Hey, good thing you're in the room and you can break them in the room.
Yeah, break them in the room. That's the problem. I can't get the ones that I want. But anyway, actually, one thing I'm curious to see is when I go to this card show on Saturday, on Sunday rather, whether anybody there's got them. I'd be shocked if they did, to be honest. I'd be curious.
Put it this way: Did you see the trade night at Bally's in Claridge?
No, and I really wish I could have gone, but I heard some things about it. But go ahead with your story, then I'll tell you what I heard.
So every night, the Claridge and Bally's, the two lobbies connected, and there was this huge common area. So on Wednesday night up until Saturday, even Sunday night when I left, there was still probably a half a dozen people with their cards out. So this just impromptu trade night happened every night at the fucking hotel. And on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, there's probably 1,000 people. It was you could barely walk. So I'm like, oh shit. Maybe I could find some packs here off somebody that's trusted, like a dealer or something like that.
Yeah.
I went to everybody, and I think I found 3 people that said they had them, but they're not selling them. So just to show you how hard they were to find.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the fact I found like 23, it seems like, now looking back, it seems like kind of a minor miracle. It kind of made me wish I could have gone back and found that other guy and bought the 12 or 15 he had too.
Yeah.
One of my regrets too strong word, but one of the things that I wasn't able to do was go to one of the trade nights. But hearing from some people that went to a couple of them, I guess some people that I know were having that I met at the National were having some issues selling things at the trade nights. But I wonder if it's just a product of the market. People.
I seen a 12-year-old kid, I swear to God, with more money in his hands than I have in every bank account.
Wow.
Collectively. The kid had to be 12 years old.
That's a bummer for me, I guess.
Dude, he had a fucking knot of $100 bills. I'm like, what is going on here?
That's crazy. And
then the kid, there was the breaker, I forget his name, little something. He was telling everybody his goal was to spend $5 million this kid's 21 years old.
$5 million?
Yeah.
Lord.
He spent $5 million on wax, and I think he did it. Kid's 21 years old. He breaks on Instagram, apparently. I don't know, like high-end flawless and shit like that. This kid's 21. He's spending $5 million at the National. You look at his Instagram, he's in a fucking private plane. I'm over here breaking fucking blasters like a fucking idiot. Jesus Christ.
Speaking of which, we got to fill that prison break up, don't we?
It's full.
Oh, it is? Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so,
okay, great.
I see some payments rolling in.
Good shit. I got to pay you for that. So once we're done, I'll send you the money.
Well, let's quickly and to be perfectly honest here, I had a real busy day. Today was my first day back to work. So the only trade that I kind of seen and was paying attention to was a Soto trade. So let's talk about that for a few minutes, then we can jump off.
Absolutely. There were a bunch of trades, but so over the last time we spoke about it, I was not expecting anything to happen because I felt like there was no rush for the Nationals to do anything. He has 2.5 years of control left. I don't think that whatever prospects they're going to get between now and the winter meetings is necessarily going to change all that much. But It looks, but the reports had it correct. It came down to the Padres and the Cardinals, and the Padres gave up a haul to get him. All four of their five top prospects they gave up. Although I know that Mackenzie Gore and I don't think Gore or Abrams necessarily have prospect status anymore. But these are guys that have been, in the top 100 list for the past 3 or 4 years. I mean, last year, I'm a big Abrams guy. I think he's a very dynamic player, very talented. He could have that average and power combination, plays great defense at shortstop. But, he was a guy that was in the top 5, top 10 last year until he had that fluke injury where he broke his leg. I think they rushed him this year because they were desperate when Tatis went down, and I think he wasn't quite ready yet. But he was definitely a top guy. And they also gave up Robert Hassel, who's another guy who is their top prospect in their system right as of this morning before they traded him. And another guy who's been absolutely killing it, I think, in high A. Yeah, and then James Wood, the other guy. Yeah. So they're other guys. So, I mean, they basically emptied their farm system to get Soto. Now, you're getting a generational talent, although some people look at his obvious flaws on defense, and he's got kind of his batting average isn't what it usually is. But, everyone's batting average is down this year. He's still 23 years old. He's still won a World Series. He's still one of the best hitters I've ever seen. So, I think that the Nationals did a good job getting what they did for him. It's a lot of prospects to give up. I think that they were now, San Diego went from having one of the best farm systems in baseball for the last few years, even though it got a little bit weaker, to, we'll see how they rebuild it. But, they basically have Machado, Tatis, and Soto as their 3, 4, and 5, at least for the next 2 years.
If Tatis was healthy right now?
Oh,
how
my goodness.
Disgusting the fucking Padres would be.
Oh, my, it's insane. And another thing, too, people might be saying things like, oh, if Tatis was healthy, would they have made this trade? Yeah, they fucking would have, because I think this is their window right now. I mean, they just signed Musgrove to that extension, which I thought was a great deal. I think he's a very underrated pitcher. They still have, solid pitching elsewhere. The only thing that I would have seen that would have the only direction I think they might have gone in that was a little bit differently had they not gotten Soto is if they'd gotten Ohtani. But, I think the Angels decided to – I'm not sure when Ohtani is going to be a free agent.
Next year, I think.
Is it after next year?
I think it's next year. Yeah.
Okay, so realistically, they can't ask for exactly what Washington did for Soto, but they can ask for something close to it. And now with the National League having the DH, it opens up the possibilities of him going to a bunch of other places too. So I'm not sure how I feel about it. I know some people thought that, the Padres got fleeced, but when you've got a guy could be a MVP candidate for the next, if they sign him, I mean, potentially for the next 10 to 12 years or 13 or whatever it is, and at least for the next 2.5 years. I mean, that's
here's the thing.
You have to give up a lot. But yeah, go ahead.
Here's the thing. I think So Soto to me is probably one of the best hitters that I've seen in my lifetime. Right? Mm-hmm. Just his approach, whole play discipline, whole package.
Yep.
He draws fucking walks. And here's the thing. The Juan Soto that we've seen the last few years has been a Juan Soto with almost zero protection, right?
Correct. It's in him and Josh Bell. That's not much.
Almost zero protection, right?
Correct. Basically zero. Yeah.
So you've seen a guy, I believe he led the league in walks last year, right?
Because he had like a 430 on base percentage. He had absurdly high on base percentage too.
They don't have to pitch him. They just don't, right? So you're going to see a Juan Soto that they're going to have to pitch. They got to pitch at him.
Yep.
So you could potentially see a guy, if you have some Soto, you're sitting on some Soto. You might see a side of this guy that we have never seen before, and maybe his bat plays well in San Diego better than Washington. That's a possibility too. But the fact is, they're going to have to pitch at him, and it's going to be so interesting to see.
I agree.
What he's, it's going to be fucking amazing. So we can see crazy Juan Soto now to a Juan Soto that's getting looks that he's never got before. That's up here.
Correct. I mean, this might be bold to say this. It's actually very bold, but I'm going to go on. I'll throw it out there. The internet's permanent, but
the internet's not forever or anything.
Nah, I know. No, the only bold statement I was going to make was, in some ways, it sort of reminds me of what could end up happening. Is like what's happened with Barry Bonds toward the end of his career after he got all roided up. Where it's not. I remember at one point
that was just protein powder.
Oh yeah, no protein powder. Well, roided up is maybe the wrong word. I take that back. Allegedly. I'm sorry. And allegedly using steroids. Allegedly using growth hormone. Allegedly, they throw that out there. Bottom line, but you mean that doesn't mean you can teach a batting. Sorry, that doesn't mean you can't teach a batting eye. But where people were so afraid to pitch to him that they'd walk him with the bases loaded. Right. That's the kind of I know.
That's
I know
how scary he was.
Yeah, and that's the closest thing I think Soto could, at his peak. I mean, I know it's putting a lot of pressure on him that he's never going to hear me say this, but there's a real possibility he could be that guy, especially having the type of. I mean, all Bonds really had was Jeff Kent, which he's good. Just as a quick aside, I can't think of two more like dislikable people in baseball to be teammates than Jeff Kent and Barry Bonds. They were just
Barry Bonds.
God, but the two of them together were just like the most miserable bastards in the world. Just such miserable pricks. But anyway, I digress. But when you look at it, that's on the table for him. And I could be wrong, but even if he falls short of that, he's still an elite talent. Potential MVP candidate for the next, I don't know, 10 years or so, or maybe I don't know. He's 23. I mean,
he's so young.
I don't think it's unrealistic to think that he could be this good and then for the next 10 years. From Washington's perspective, I sort of get why they did it. Another thing too is I think people look at the dollar amount that Washington was throwing at him and say, "Well, God, what a greedy guy." I'm like, well, if you think you're worth more and you're worth more, why would you settle for less? And right. I don't have a problem. I never have a problem with players trying to make as much money as they can while they can, because the owners are doing the exact same thing. If you think that they're not turning a profit, which, by the way, if you go back and look, the only team that has public books or has their books that you can see is the Braves, because they're owned by a publicly traded company. The Braves made like $104 million in profit last year, and that's after accounting for expenses. So if you don't think the owners are making, if you don't think, I mean, even if they made $50 million, it's still a ton of money to make after you're accounting for expenses. So, ultimately, Soto turning it down, I think there's a few factors there. I think one, the uncertainty with ownership. Two, maybe he wanted to decide where he wanted to play. And three, he knows he might be worth even more than that, and justifiably so. The interesting thing to me is if you look at all the guys that are gone from the National, there's a possibility that they could have drafted and developed two guys who have won NL MVPs that didn't win them for their team. Because Harper already won one, and Soto, I think, might win one in the next couple of years. I don't think that's outrageous to say. So, that was. I'm curious. At some point, we're going to get the story about how this all came together, and what.
When's
the final
his first
offers
game?
were. Probably tomorrow, I would think, because he's got to travel. So I expect him probably to be in the lineup for San Diego tomorrow. That makes sense.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. So he was obviously the biggest name that moved today. Another guy, I'm trying to think of the other. Are there any other? Oh, the Hader trade. That one really surprised me. Josh Hader for Trevor Rogers and a bunch of other, not necessarily minor league, like Nelson Lamet. And there's a couple other guys in the town. I'm blanking on their names, but I had heard nothing about Hader being possibly traded. And for a team that I feel like is in a decent market, that reeks of a small market move from Milwaukee, because they're getting rid of a guy who, he had a couple of hiccups there, but he's been an elite closer for however many years. Yeah. He's under contract for another year. And I get it's going to cost you about, 10, 15 million, but you're a first place team. So moving your guy, it just seems like a very, I mean, they got a closer back, but it just seemed like a very, very odd, very I don't even think Tampa would have made a move like that, to be honest. They would have done it while they were in first place. So, that was probably the most surprising trade. And some of the names you heard about that didn't get moved, like we said, was Ohtani. It seems like he might have been ready for a move. Now that Soto is in San Diego, it makes me wonder if San Francisco.
The C.J. Abrams sold for $400. What?
Oh, so I didn't get that message.
Oh, wow.
Was he getting a post-trade spike in his values?
No, he's saying the National C.J. Abrams Super sold for $400. Bro, I would have bought that for $400 in 10
That seems
seconds.
pretty cheap. That seems pretty cheap to me. So, yeah, I mean, I think that I would not be surprised to see the Giants maybe make an inquiry in the offseason about Shohei Ohtani to see what they could get him for.
Oh, I fucking hope not.
Well, why? What you want him on the Yankees or what?
I don't know. It's just part of me just wants it to work out in LA with Trout and Ohtani.
Yeah.
Just fucking 1 year. Let's just get him past the wild card. Let's just get two series in the playoffs, and let's see what those two guys are made of.
I would love to see it.
It's not going to happen. I understand.
I don't understand how you could, if you're the Angels, how you could backdoor your way into so much talent in terms of Ohtani and Trout. And, you look at what's happening with Joe Adele, and I like the guy a lot, and I've heard nothing but great things about him as both a person and a player. Just you got to get that guy across the finish line and turn him into a big leaguer. I mean, maybe he'll go more of the Byron Buxton route, but that's a necessity. But to look around at the rest of the team and to say, it's like, how do you not sign a pitcher that isn't Noah Syndergaard? Why would you have thrown?
Right.
You mean $245 million at Anthony Rendon, who I think is a good player, but he really does have his injury history was enough to give me a little bit of pause. And unfortunately, he's been hurt for a lot of his contract, which sucks because I never want to root for anybody to get hurt. But they really never, it's almost like, well, because they didn't get, they were going after, what's his name from, I'm blanking his name, Strasburg, and they didn't get him. They're like, well, we'll just throw the money at another guy because we need to make a move. And it's like, no, that's not how you should run a front office. I mean, their pitching has been terrible for years. They haven't made any effort to really improve it other than signing retreads. Syndergaard's okay, but he's not the same pitcher he was. Like, he's a solid pitcher, but he's not the same guy he was 3-4 years ago. So, it seems like the only way that Ohtani or Trout's going to see the playoffs if it's for another team. And that's unfortunate because they really got these two generational talents. And the only guys who, and outside of Ohtani pitching, they really don't have enough pitching around them. And it constantly has been biting them in the ass. So I just think that if they had people that were running the organization that kind of even 3/4 of the way or halfway knew what they were doing, they would be so much better, And that's just that's the real terrible thing is like how exciting. I mean, how exciting would it be to see Mike Trout and Ohtani play? Like to see Ohtani starting Game 1 for the Angels in the playoff series.
Huge.
Oh my, it'd be amazing, and to watch him in the playoffs,
Yeah, man.
It'd be
that's
amazing.
what baseball needs.
Absolutely. I mean, hopefully we'll get lucky, and J-Rod will do that this year. We'll get Seattle into the playoffs. We get to see him play, but it just that part of it kind of sucks. And you hope eventually. I mean, like I said, I'm a Red Sox fan. I will always be a Red Sox fan, but it doesn't mean I don't want to watch good baseball. It doesn't mean I don't want to. It doesn't mean I don't want to watch good talent when I can. And those guys are so talented. So, yeah, I mean,
that's pretty wild, man.
Yeah, so we'll see. Obviously we can go into a little bit more of a bigger rundown. There's a lot of minor trades that went down. Couple of ones that I found really puzzling. I don't know why the Yankees traded Jordan Montgomery for Harrison Bader. I think that much to Jeremiah's delight, I think that was an absolute steal. I think that was a steal for the Cardinals. I don't understand why they did that. That was very confusing to me. I know they got Frankie Montas, but they just put Severino on the 60-day DL. The Cubs made some questionable non-trades. They held on to Contreras, which surprised me, and Ian Happ, which also surprised me. The Red Sox kind of did a 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing. Looking at the Eric Hosmer trade, I think that if you're going to take that guy on, I mean, granted, they're paying him nothing. Like, literally, San Diego picked up all but like $2 million of his salary. I would have rather they kept $20 million of that and they got a better prospect return rather than a couple of lottery tickets. That was a kind of an odd trade for me. That was a little disappointing, the return that they got with that, the Red Sox, I mean. And I think those were really the only really big ones, the only real needle movers outside of pitching trades that happened, over the last few days. The interesting one is Noelvi Marte, I think, going for Luis Castillo. We can kind of touch upon that next week, but that's another guy with a ton of...
The Reds are stacked, man.
Holy I know, shit. Man. Yeah. They also got a few other guys from Minnesota for Tyler Mahle. We can talk about that too, but that Noelvi Marte, he might have... It's funny because in a normal year, you'd say, wow, that was the best prospect that changed hands. But then you look at the haul that, Washington got, and you could say those top 4 guys they got are the best they got. But Noelvi Marte definitely fits into that conversation too.
Yeah. All right, man. Why don't we end it here. Let's go do this
Sounds
prison
good.
break, and
Looking
we'll
forward
be
to it.
back next Tuesday around 8:00 at night for
Yep.
2 guys, 1 team bag.
Yeah, and again, guys, please feel free to submit questions to us either via Facebook message or on the group post. And we're looking forward to talking to you guys next week.
And pretty soon we're gonna have Adam is supposed to be on this as the co-host.
Yes.
We're gonna
Working on
set
it.
this up on Anchor where we could do just an audio format. We need
Correct.
to get a Instagram set up, like a Twitter account set up, some type of
Yeah.
social media presence, so we can start building the following. And look, whether one person listens or 100 people listen, this is something that we both are pretty passionate about. We want to do
Yep.
once a week, and we'll see where it goes.
Absolutely. It's fun. I mean, it's we're having a
It
good
is.
time. That's the most important thing.
You're going to get a real honest opinion about what's going on in this game. It's not a hobby.
Absolutely.
It's a game. What's
Yeah.
going on in this game? What's going on in baseball?
Yep.
And we're going to give it to you raw.
Yep. All right, guys.
All right.
Thanks for joining us this week.
Have a good night. Later.